Yesterday, I talked about this article, how 16 companies are dominating Google search. And I talked about that article from the context of an impressive piece of SEO content marketing that is very effective at getting backlinks. It's a long article, 13,500 words, and it shows how 16 companies, which have many, many, many different brands under them, make up most of what you see in the results of Google search. Part of the reason why this article went so viral is because at first glance it seems demoralizing. It's definitely demoralizing if you're a consumer. If you're a consumer, there's not as much competition among brands as you think within Google search because most of the brands that you see are controlled again by 16 companies. But this podcast isn't made for consumers. This podcast is made for marketers and entrepreneurs and people who want to grow and get visibility. And a lot of people think that the lack of competition among these brands also translates to higher competition for new brands who want to get into the SERPs, who want to get into the search engine results pages. But I'm here to tell you that if you are someone who wants to grow, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have a startup, if you're trying to do SEO, if you want to show up on Google search, this is actually good news. It's actually good that 16 companies control 84% of what you see in the search engine results pages. This is actually great news. Let me tell you my background. I used to do SEO, search engine optimization, for brands that are controlled by these companies, for some of the biggest brands in the world, for Procter & Gamble, for ADP, for Microsoft, for Time. I've done SEO for these companies, and I know what's going on behind the scenes. And I also know why only 16 companies make up most of what you see in Google search. And so yesterday, I just talked about this article and this research from the context of, if you want to get backlinks, making long form, deep diving content like this is a good way to do it. Now I'm actually going to talk about the content of the article, and I'm going to debunk it from the standpoint of somebody who wants to get into the market. And by the end of this, I'm going to make you feel hopeful if you are an entrepreneur or if you're somebody who wants to get results. Because like I said, this is good news. Here's what's going on behind the scenes with these 16 companies. They are slow to move and they don't take risks. I can't say which companies this was for, but it happened multiple times. I would do research. I would identify opportunities for growth, for SEO growth, and the companies would either take forever to implement them, or they would take too long to implement them and then they wouldn't get implemented. Or, and this happened for things that were not risky at all, companies would think that they were too risky to implement. Things that were not risky at all, companies would think they were too risky to implement. For example, for one of these businesses, I found that a competitor was dynamically generating pages targeting every different location of the United States, grouping those pages in a hub page and appending the keywords to the end of these pages. So you would have like Raleigh, North Carolina, and then the keyword or keywords. And a competitor was doing this, and it was working really well for them. They were getting a lot of traffic. I said, hey, we should do this. It won't require a lot of resources. Somebody else was like, dynamically generated content is dangerous. We could get in trouble for this. And the truth is, dynamically generated content targeting different locations, appending keywords, is a well-known tactic. I've seen so many companies do it effectively. I wholeheartedly endorse it. And they didn't want to take those risks. But the thing is, startups will come in and they will take those risks and they will gain market share in the SERPs, in the search engine results pages. So these big companies, they're not taking risks. They're moving slow, in fact, that sometimes they just forget to implement strategies. And this is leaving tremendous opportunity for newcomers, for startups. And the reason why this is motivating is because if you're a startup and you're doing SEO, you can take market share away from these 16 companies very easily. And the reason why they dominate the SERPs is because when that happens, when market share is taken away from them, their strategy is to just buy out the brands that take the market share away from them. So at that point, you can get acquired or you can just enjoy the cash flow. So it's good news. Once a competitor gets bought up by one of these bigger brands, it means SEO will become easier for you because it's likely that that competitor is going to stop taking the risks, taking the chances, moving as fast as it was that made it a serious threat in the first place. because these companies move slow. They move slow and they buy up brands that threaten them. And then they continue to move slow, and it's just wash, rinse, repeat. And so the point of this episode is to counter the fact that, yeah, 16 companies make up most of what you see on Google. And so many people think this is demoralizing, but it's not. It's motivating. It means a lot of the competition that you see in Google search is slow, unwilling to take risks, and can be a lot more easily disrupted than you as an entrepreneur or a marketer originally think. But if you're a consumer, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is not good news. But hey, when you have all that sweet cash flow, or when you have all that capital from being acquired, you can spend more on the anti-competitive high prices that these 16 companies are putting into their brands. I would totally recommend checking out this article. You can just Google how 16 companies are dominating the search results. The article is from detailed.com. I made it, I think, a third of the way through the article. It's so dense, 13,500 words. You can see for yourself. But behind the scenes, like I said, what goes on is just very unimpressive. It's bureaucratic. It's slow. It's averse to risk, averse to taking chances, and open to being disrupted, and ultimately open to buying you as a competitor out. This is episode 150. Wow, 150 of The Edward Show. I was thinking, where am I going to record episode 150? How is it going to be recorded? What's it going to be about? It's being recorded in a hotel lobby in Wrocław, Poland. I'm sitting in a corner with a hood over my eyes to avoid distractions, just sitting here with the mic up to my mouth. One of my close friends who I travel to this place with, to this city, to this country with, he's sitting close to me. He's working. He just started a podcast of his own. I've talked about him on previous episodes. He's a dating coach. Just started a podcast of his own. Around me, there's people working. There's holiday decorations. There's people coming in and out of this hotel lobby. It's a very luxury hotel. But they also have this like great place to work in this lobby. And so sometimes me and my friend, we come here, we sit at this huge table with other people on their computers. I just had a cappuccino with oat milk. So good. And it's snowing out. Ooh, there's around like 3 or 4 inches of snow out, and it's white and it's crisp and it's lovely. It's a lovely day. It's a great day. I wrote tomorrow's newsletter. I think it's a pretty good newsletter. It's about a simple 5-second thing you can do to be discovered more easily on any platform. And I was feeling inspired when I wrote it, so I think it's going to be a good one. And I made the TikTok for today. I made the video. I think the video will be a funny one. It's a way to get past any SEO website audit. That's the video for today. So I'm going to return to my computer now. I'm going to put up that TikTok. I'm going to edit this podcast. I'm going to edit the newsletter. And I will talk to all of you again tomorrow. Bye now.